The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Podcast. It's another edition of The Big Issue. And of course, I hope we are all bubbling with reasonable action there as you go into the weekend. And tomorrow is Independence Day, the 62nd Independence Day of Nigeria. And the big issue of the day is Nigeria, a country still wobbling at 62. As usual, I'm your regular host, and with me here in the studio, our very, very vibrant in-house analyst. We have Silas Ezegu.
Good to be here.
And Chibuz Okaide.
Thank you.
Well, tomorrow, October 1, Nigeria will be marking its 62nd anniversary since the country gained independence in 1960. And as the country does so, we'll be seeing some of the regular fanfare and the celebration, although it had been low-key since 2011, when the nation's capital experienced its first bombing at the Eagle Square. The then President Jonathan now shifted independence celebration to the Villa. And since then, the Independence Day had been celebrated at the forecourt of the president's office in Nassau Rock. Well, we don't know how tomorrow will be, but there are signs that there will be a special celebration, much bigger than the one we have been experiencing in the past 6 or 7 or 8 years. And as we saw on a video showing the military on display on parachute, the parachuters were exhibiting what they were preparing for tomorrow. And if you see the comment that trailed that video, all of them did not land well. One landed, see the way he was just rolling on that quota. I hope he didn't even injure. At the federal secretariat there. And then people were now wondering, how could a country as big as Nigeria still be battling with certain things that other countries does with ease, like the issue of parachutes and their military forces? It goes a long way to show that up to now, we still have a military that still battles to learn how to use the parachute. And many people say that is a reflection of the country at 62, that nothing is working out. Nigeria is still wobbling on the political front. You see how the 2023 election is going. Crises here and there. The major political parties not being able to put their act together. In the economy, there's a lot to discuss about. But first of all, let's look at where we are now and what was the dream of our founding fathers, the likes of Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Sardona, and Nnamdi Azikiwe, and the great sage, Obafemi Awolowo. Would you say the Nigeria we're seeing now really reflect what was the true intention of our founding fathers and the expectations of Nigeria when the country got its independence in 1960?
George, thank you for that question. Even as you're asking that question, it's obvious what the answers are. I'm sure that the two founding fathers who fought for independence for the British through subtle and direct means. I'm sure that in their graves they'll be turning in their grave to look around and see the country that they're about to build. So much hope and expectation, so much hope. They saw the country was going to grow to become the leading nation in the world, in Africa and in the world. Obviously, Nigeria has not, even from the title of what was going to be, the country is still wobbling. That word is apt. The country is still wobbling at the age of 62. 62, to really somebody heading for retirement is a human being. We're going to see battle with, teething problems. Some things that you should have by now forgotten all about. We see battle with basic, those people can't even have basic water to drink. Um, roads are not. They're still struggling to build roads. We're still struggling to farmer education. We're still struggling with basic things, basic health. Most people don't even have access to all those basic things of life. You know, housing. Those basic things of most people have no hope of even getting them. And then the poverty rate what you have now, the country is so blessed, you know, independence and afterwards. Judge, the question you asked me is so obvious that this is not audience. If they would have claimed to have seen Nigeria to be at this stage now, in those days when they were speaking all those good English with the white men, trying to convince them how Nigerians can make better progress to be on their own. There have been people who have seen that Nigeria needed, should have allowed the white men to continue ruling us. That they had more direction, they had more plan, even though they were also gaining from it, exploiting us. But that our own leaders have exploited us more than the white man ever would have. You know. So honestly, I don't know whether it's a mistake they made or they didn't put the right political frame in place. But obviously, no Nigerian will be happy to say I'm a Nigerian. It is now. It's the kind of country he was hoping to. In 1980, to now. Remember, it was in Nigeria in 1980. Even at that time, it was really going on, all but if you look at who we are then and now, you will really be shocked to see that most people will tell you this is not the Nigeria they expected to have by this time. And looking forward, going back, we seem to have, come back so much so that a lot of people now are finding, in fact, what is the fact now that everybody who can is making effort to japa. They coined one slang now, japa. When I had it on TV, I was sporting of this. Until explain to that.
You can imagine that Silas is always very abreast of this latest slang. So, you see
I had it on TV, on a ride, something
Yes.
as big as a ride in
Alright.
Nigeria. So it was also a Japan, so we were trying to check. Then it was Andrew in those days,
You're right.
Now it's Japan that talking about.
Yeah, of course.
If you look at to hear that 8,000 doctors have in Nigeria in the short space of 1 year or so, 2 years, and out of those who are around, but 74% are looking for how to run away, and that don't just hurt. The banks can set to have complain how most of the tech boys kind of run away from the
Not
country.
even
The same thing
not even doctors.
across.
In other
Yes, I
lot of
just
lecturers.
lecturers too are running
Most of them are applying seriously for foreign
to get away.
to go to foreign.
So that's a country that, and see, home is home. Nobody wants to leave the country and go another place, especially a country that's so blessed in terms of natural resources, a lot of sunshine. So people, the sunshine we have in Nigeria, they beg to see it. The rest of Nigeria, they beg to see. Some people beg to see it. The topography we have to beg to see it. They wish, and we have all those things. And because of the leadership of heart in the country since independence, we've just been going down. In fact, once one person leaves, we'll say it's so bad. By the time another person comes, we'll be wishing that we had the other one we said was not good enough. That's been our fate in independence.
Well, thank you, Silas. I really agree with you because really, to be frank, at independence, all eyes were on the most populous black country on earth. Just like you rightly say, because for good reasons, Nigeria were high flyers when it comes to intellectual and educational endeavors,
Yes.
business, international diplomacy, and in military and political leadership.
On top of it,
Of course, because you can remember in continental leadership, only Ghana rivaled Nigeria just before independence. When you remember when Ghana's Kwame Nkrumah was the most popular African leader then. But at the end of the day, he was deposed in a coup. And then attention shifted to our own founding fathers like Nnamdi Azikiwe, the Sadona, Ahmadu Bello, and the great sage Obafemi Awolowo. You see, at the continental front, Nigeria provided leadership and enormous support even to the United Nations with our peacekeeping mission in Congo, Liberia, and of course other countries. Yes. But today we can't say that. How can we even go for a peacekeeping mission when in Nigeria the country is on fire security-wise? And at the end of the day, Chukwuzo Silas has just told us how it was and how it is now. What could be possibly, what can we say could be the reason for these political, social, and economic morals? The country considered as the big brother Africa is enmeshed in now.
This is a very academic question.
No, not really academic.
Very academic. It will require people who have.
It's not academic. Because even if it's academic, I could even say, you know, the silence before you continue to even lecturers, lawyers. First of all, they will tell you that the people they respect most because of their versatility are journalists. After Babalola, there was a day in court. Then I was covering the judiciary when he came, and then the judge was very angry over a certain report. A lawyer drew the attention of the court to that the journalist misled the court. So the judge wanted taking it to talk. After Babalola then, who was Obasanjo's lawyer in that case between Obasanjo and Atiku, quickly intervened. I said, no, my lord, leave these people. If it's them, see, these are, you know, in everything you do, there must be error. But these people, I respect them because they are this kind of people. They are so versatile that at the end of the day, some of the things we even do here in court, when they now project it, you even be wondering, why didn't you come with that kind of idea? The reporter is reporting the story from. And at the end of the day, you see these are brief, my lord, as voluminous as they are. They will go summarize it and they'll give you a 7-paragraph of a report that contains everything you see on this heavy. My lord, please tread gently. There must be an error because they don't always go reporting out of what the proceedings are in the court. So you can't say, even if it's the question is academic, you are academic enough to answer this question, Chibuzo.
You can only attempt, sir. Well, the problems of Nigeria, there's been so much intellectual material on why we are where we are today. From the search for nationhood, the quest for nationhood, and our inability to pursue it after the founding fathers secured independence for us, that quest, and how do we situate all of the nations within the federal system, that quest is still on. Some people say that quest is still on. That's one paradigm. And so we still have these tensions playing up still. Some others say the intervention of the military also affected that journey. Some others in contemporary times believe the leadership recruiting process has become so faulty that now people who are not groomed for political office, because I think the most influential kind of leaders in every society are the political leaders. That is why even in the Greek states, and they are prime, even in the US, when their founding fathers were described as philosopher kings. In the case of the Greeks, in the Americas of George Washington's, and they were seen first as philosophers before they were seen as leaders. Such that the way they their perception of the nation they intended to see, they were able to call it into existence, for want of a better, with the kind of, so I think there was a breach in that, because if you look at the quality of leaders that got us independence, that bet Nigeria, you rightly pointed them out. The quality of their thinking, the quality of their engagements, the versatility with which they address, it was a mixture of clear knowledge and passion, and you could see that play out in virtually all of them.
All of them.
From Awolowo to the Sardauna to Tafawa Balewa, and so they were very clear in their thought process, and they were passionate about what they were talking about. So they were able to set a path. Unfortunately, successive leaders have not been able to step up to that stage, and that is why many people cry when they see that our educational system is going the way it's going. The quality of brain drain that is going on, it's further shows how bad things have become. So I think, first of all, we should start to thinking, and I agree with those who say we should be thinking the way we recruit leaders into key positions in the country. We should begin to rethink and retool it. Some good initiatives that were, put on the ground, the NYSC and some other programs that were meant to give a clear direction and a clear dream of what Nigeria should be, so that successive generations could have pursued it. But it's not there. For instance, in the US, we have the American dream. Everybody, of course, now we are beginning to even have problems with that, because of the abuse of capitalism, the excess capitalism or materialism that has, But there used to be an American dream, a land where you come and you can be sure that
if you struggle,
if you work hard, you are going to make it. There is fairness, there's justice, there's equity. These are things that people in any society, in any nation, would want to hold on to and strive for. So I wouldn't have to leave where I am to the US if I am sure that where I am at the moment, I can get justice. If somebody offends, if I need to get justice, if I work for it, I have to be able to earn it. Nobody has to look at where I'm from to offer me what I merit. I can be sure that I can move to any part of this country, and I'm sure that I'm secure. I can be sure that I can bring investments here, and for no flimsy reason, somebody will just try to undercut me. So these are the building blocks that perhaps our forefathers foresaw. Because like you did point, sorry, I'm taking too much time.
No, you're not.
Like you did point out, Nigeria was supposed is because I still see it, happening with the current kind of leadership. Nigeria is the fate and the soul of the black race. Whichever way you look at it, Nigeria remains the soul of the black race. And so by the time we get that aspect of clicking on a dream, a national dream, there's no telling the extent to which we can go. And perhaps it's going to be a blessing in disguise, because all of our diaspora are everywhere. So when the time comes, with the right kind of leadership, imagine that all of that diaspora experience begins to come back and they begin to expand the space. There's no telling, how far Nigeria as a nation and as the spearhead of the black race can take, the world to.
Very much on point, Chibuzo. Well, our in-house analysts have been able to conduct a post-mortem of a country called Nigeria since independence and why it has found itself in the present state. We'll quickly take a short break, and when we come back, we'll begin to briefly look at what could be the way forward. Don't go offline. We'll be back in a moment.
sponsorship, and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back. We're still on the big issue in Leadership Podcast. And of course, the big issue of the day is Nigeria, a country still wobbling at 62. Well, just like what Chibuzo has said, Chibuzo went a long way to corroborate the journalist and author Karl Mayer in his classic, This House Has Fallen, Nigeria in Crisis. He cited a litany of problems as remote causes of the fall of Nigeria. And then you see what Karl Mayer listed as the problem with Nigeria. Number one, he said succession of failed administration, political instability, structural adjustment program which destroyed the local economy, moral bankruptcy in public institutions, military misadventure up to 1993, the season of anomie occasioned by the annulment of the 1993 presidential elections and the international backlash, and also religious and ethnic bigotry. And of course, most of what he listed here, and just like Chibuzo has been able to break them down for us before we break, Nigerians are conversant with the fact that these are our problem. But what is the main issue now is that at 62, you know, this year's independence is so unique because it's coming at in an election year where people will be looking out for change. But Silas, looking at the political class now, looking at the electioneering process, which is ongoing, and the way most of the political parties are starting their campaigns, and some of the issues that have been discussed on television and the rest by our candidates, do you see any change of maybe, because like one of them is an issue of succession, one bad government taking over another bad government. Do you see anything remarkable happening after the 2023 elections that might really save the country and then wiggle it back from its current state?
Yes. Yes, the only thing that a man should not do is to lose hope.
In other words, what you're trying to say is that keep
Hoping, keep hope alive.
keep hoping against hope.
No, not against hope. The thing that the country is evolving, and then we were going downwards, down the slope. Naturally, you get to a point where you need to come up. It's a natural, movement of things. Before the point where you stop and stabilize and stuff. So, if you are elected to 2020 elections, there's hope that this might change. There's also fear that this might remain the same, because the main actors in the political process, who could show the way, could lead the way, they have a past, and some of the past that they have, it's not inspiring. They have packages, but one or two of them whose package is not as good as others. So are carrying some baggage that is frightening a lot of people out of their heart, themselves. That's why I found that after the primaries, and the two main candidates of the two main parties, those who are passive about the total process, started rushing the youth who are possibly seeing their future. turn to shares again, who are afraid of that. They started going to look for their
Yes.
that voter card is a trump card. Call it trump card. Even though the ANEC their in this wisdom,
Mm.
cut most of them off. But this is the first time we've seen young Nigerians feel that they have to have a say in how they are governed going forward. Before they would just play football, watch television, telephone, and allow the old men to go and vote. And those men are having a mindset of the past where religion, ethnicity, and all those primordial things become their sense of judgment. And then, of course, apart from those ones, the influence of money. People are giving money, they say their conscience away. And so you said, "Look, we can't continue selling our vote because we have seen that selling it is detrimental to our future. And the future is for the youth, the young, and the youth, the old men and person as well." So, George, from to the question you asked, going forward, depending on how the election plays out, for the question will come Nigeria, it's just successive bad governments. You know, what has ailed us a lot, since, especially since both the military and the civilian, is that those who are not doing well will insist on remaining there. Even in a democratic system where they lose the election, they will, when they have see that they're going to lose the election, they will manipulate the system, manipulate the vote, and retain power and tell to go to court. Who appoints the judge? The same person. So you're not even going to get much out of the court. So that's how the problem. So that person hit on that. You have successive bad governance. Now, this hope that is I mentioned is that with the evolution of INEC and the result of technology, it gives people hope that their vote may count. And if the vote counts, the choice they make, most of them who are elected and everyone, the choice they make will decide how their future will be like. And it is interesting that more young people, intelligent people, and people of current generation are getting involved, getting interested. So that's what I'm saying as a hope. If that was not a hope, you won't see many people getting actively engaged in this system. In fact, people are fighting, bribing to get just card, that voter card, which have been lying dormant for years and people are not going. So that's something they saw in the coming up that inspiring them to look for their card. So that one say that's hope. Now, if we fall into, for instance, if we fall into this old system, the same people have the mentality of, they have a sense of entitlement to government. We might have, maybe our celebration may still, be still,
See it far.
far.
Yeah.
So that's why, you mentioned that this election coming up is very, very important. And it is important that it is free, fair, credible, so that peace. You don't know how you should react if they feel that they have been cheated. They're not as reflective as old people are. They might take things out of hands. So it is better that the election is done free and fair and seems to be done freely and fair.
Well, that is even why the former leaders, Abdul Salami, led the peace committee, got the candidates to sign a peace pact yesterday. And of course, beyond that peace pact, we have Nigerians out there who are still living, burning in an unquenchable desire to go the normal, the usual way of selling their votes, engaging in election malpractices, and wait for the highest bidder. The candidates that will come present them with cash. Chibuzo, at 62, what do you think will be done differently in the coming election so that there will be hope that at least Nigeria can rise above these challenges and then set itself on the path which our founding fathers had intended? Just briefly before we round up, because we're out of time. Yeah.
Okay. First, institutions must play their part. It's not enough for them to be effective at what they do. They should also be seen to be non-partisan. Also, the candidates should ensure that they put Nigeria first and not themselves. They should ensure that whatever messaging comes out of their platforms are messaging that will not create more crisis in the polity. Third, Nigerians themselves should engage the process more, should be more circumspect about who they pick. Whichever candidate they choose, fine. But they should ensure that whatever candidate they choose is somebody they believe can get the job done. There is no disputing the fact that this election is going to be decided largely by an outburst of very young people. There's a generational switch currently playing out, and it's not just Nigeria, it's a global thing. And so we are beginning to see a lot of young people, particularly in Nigeria, who were born after the military, so they don't know what that fear. And so we saw a manifestation of that in the last couple of years, about 2 or 3 years ago. And so we are going to see people who will be more daring and more bold, more enlightened and more perceptive, more who have more resistance to the nuances of religion and tribe. For instance, we have seen parents who support a particular candidate, yet their children are supporting somebody else, and not even their parents who can influence the direction they choose to go politically. However, it is important that these parents allow their children express themselves. The most they can do is to give parental guidance, but they shouldn't allow whatever things they feel they need to, the direction they need to go politically to be. And again, money, it falls under the canopy of institutions that should do their work of monitoring against vote buying and abuse of public offices. So if we have all these things done, the likelihood of getting a leader that can be held accountable when he assumes office is possible.
Well, tomorrow is 1st October. Nigeria is going to celebrate its 62nd independence anniversary. And as it does so, there is a congress of opinion among Nigerians that the country is still wobbling at 62. And of course, this is an election year, and this year's independence is unique because we are at a point where the 2023 election provides us the opportunity to make the difference. And just like our in-house analysts have said, the ball is in Nigeria's court to do things differently from the old order. And of course, this is the only chance that we can always make things change, the election, where we choose our leaders. So, 2023 election, according to political pundits, is a step in which Nigeria will still fall or else overlive, depending on what the electorate wants for themselves and what our leaders will present for us as an electoral process. Thank you for joining us, and of course, I'd like to thank our in-house analysts for addressing the big issue. Join us same time on Monday for another edition of this program. For now, we say happy Independence Anniversary.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.